And welcome to a very special edition of Roll the Damn Dice, the International Women's Day special. Oh, woohoo!
Woohoo! Yay, ladies!
I am here with the ladies of Roll the Damn Dice, the wonderful Toni Shaw and the lovely Moore Myerson.
Hi!
We're also going to do a shout out to Daisy Cambridge, who is also a lady of Roll the Damn Dice, but she's behind the scenes. So we're just going to have a little chat with the ladies who are on camera. Toni plays some regular characters for us, but not like an ongoing character. So she comes in and guests, but she's also a D&D player on the Homebrew Havoc podcast, which is really exciting, which is a new thing that started. So I am Joy-Amy Wigman. I'll be sort of moderating, which you might already be able to tell that might be a mistake. But I will... Everything's fine. I'm actually just also realizing that if you're watching this on camera, if I lean ever so slightly to my left, then the Roll the Damn Dice logo looks like a halo around my head. I am truly the Earth Mother.
You are saintly.
I am saintly. So I'm going to get you guys to introduce yourselves. If we go to Moa first, just have a little talk about who are you? What are you doing here?
How long have we got?
That's a good point, actually. We might have to put her on a
Hello, I am Moa, the cast member of Roll the Damn Dice, and player of Lily Lixer Amber Fafmernig currently, but also I think Lily is on my left or right. I'm not sure. And then Blue is on the other side. In our other campaign. And yeah, I am an actor, singer, human, what lives in the world.
And assistant producer of Roll the Damn Dice.
Oh yeah, assistant producer of Roll the Damn Dice.
Yes.
So you remember the important things, Joey. This is why you're moderating, because as soon as I'm told to speak, my brain just empties of all important information.
Dude, I've got pregnancy hormones. All of the information leaks out of me all the time. And a little bit of wee most of the time.
Constant stream.
Yeah, constant stream. So, Toni. Hi.
And I am as Joy-Amy said, a semi-regular guest spot on Roll the Damn Dice, cast member-y person. And I also do the socials. So this overlay that you see around us, I made that. I did that. And yeah, I play... Oh, I'm going to struggle. I play Oriana, who's on one side. She's the blue tiefling. That's From the Ashes. And I also have played Kay, the Dragonborn, on the other side in Justice League. So yeah, and then outside of that, I run an Etsy shop, which I'm sure everyone's heard me promote multiple times. I also am a castmate on Homebrew Havoc. And yeah. I'm a filmmaker when I can get that in when there's not pandemics going on.
When there's not a pandemic, yeah. Although we did manage to make a film during a pandemic. Two films during the pandemic.
When it was legal. When it was legal. Yes, I think we should preface that.
Between lockdowns, managed to do that.
Yeah.
Well, me, I'm Joy-Amy, and I play Locticus Frayne in From the Ashes and Carouser Morn in Justice League, but we will talk about our characters in just a little bit. I wanted to mention, just so that you guys know, we are sponsored by Critit UK, makers of things like dice trays and dice and really cool stuff. We roll a lot of nat 20s with their dice, I'm just saying.
Many lately.
So many. Oh, yeah, Tony's modelling some there. Mine are underneath my laptop, so I can't get hold of them right now. But if you want some stuff from Critit, which you should do, really, you can get 10% off by using the Critit code RTDD10. So, like, roll the damn dice 10, but in letter form. That's really hard for me to say, because I've got, like, a condition where I can't process acronyms. So... I've had to write it down, even like I know what the name of our podcast is. So ladies of D&D, hiya. Hi. I think it'd be really fun to have a little chat about the characters that we play and why we like playing them, perhaps.
Yeah.
I think we all play female characters as well. Does anyone play non-binary or? Oh,
Kay is non-binary.
Kay's non-binary. Oh,
Kay's non-binary.
And I have played a male character before, as Lox, but yeah, that was prior to current campaigns.
lovely. Okay, so like, why do you enjoy playing the characters that you play?
Who
Oh,
first?
I know that's like a big question, isn't it? Like I know with me, I've got two characters who complete different ends of the spectrum. So Lochcus Frayne is a bard, and like traditionally with bards, they will fuck anything. And Frayne's a little bit like that, except she's quite discerning. Frayne could fuck anything. It's whether she chooses to or not. She's a bit of a stunner. And then on the completely opposite end of the scale, you've got Morn, who's a dragonborn paladin who is completely asexual. Who has the catchphrase, "I do not do the humpy humpy, you would die," and is completely uninterested. And I think for me, there's like a safety in both. So with Morn, I don't have to worry about getting into kind of sexualized situations because that completely goes over Morn's head. And she's completely uninterested in anyone wanting to sleep with her because she genuinely thinks that they would probably die and she has no interest in it anyway. Whereas with Frayne, if anyone gets a bit icky with Frayne, I know that she would just nut them.
Yeah.
Like she would fully headbutt them or attempt to turn them into something. Whereas if I was in that situation, I might feel like I couldn't do that. But I feel safe with Frayne because I know that like she will look after me. Yeah. So there are any kind of like aspects of your characters that you play that basically kind of make you feel safer at the table, maybe?
I kind of have that exact same thing. Slightly different, obviously, but with Lily in Roll the Damn Dice in From the Ashes, she's so childlike in her approach to life. She's naive and very optimistic, and she is still young, and basically all of that stuff. She would never initiate anything like that, and because of her nature, nothing like that's ever initiated. So it would never like, and I've really reveled in because I take myself so seriously and I can get a little bit too like the joy and the safety that I have in Lily is that it's all just silliness, and if it does get serious, then I know how to like bring her back to that naive optimism. And then with Blue, she's kind of where you have that safety with Frayne. She's just such a badass that if she weren't into it, she'd just be like,
she'd just stab a fella.
Yeah, no, not into it. No. And she's so serious and like and just badassery Rosa from Brooklyn Nine-Nine vibes. So
Definite.
don't need to worry about that sort of things.
What about you, Toni?
The same as like I think we've all kind of, it seems that we all have like a character who's kind of like a slightly more kind of innocent, or it is like, you know what I mean, like not really kind of
Sexualized.
Like not really sexualized, and another character that's like maybe not, in my case, maybe not sexualized, but like a badass and like won't take shit from anybody. And I find that with Kay, I wouldn't say Kay's innocent because they're a barbarian and they will happily
with
hit
Morn,
things with
but
like,
it's a different.
Morn.
Yeah, Morn's really violent,
Morn's
but
like
it's
really
certain level of innocence.
I with Kay though, I made them a barbarian who's not really into violence. And then we did that championship one-shot thing like a while back in August, and like because it was mainly combat, I just ended up hitting loads of things happily, mainly because like it's what you do, but also it's kind of fun. And then with Oriana, she's very she's very badass, and she's a rogue. So she's I think she's very stereotypical rogue, like quite hard sort of Cockney, a thief, and like she's probably like street smart, and like, you know, she's a bit cheeky to people and stuff.
Oh
so
yeah,
I think,
she's really fun, Ariana.
Oh,
like
yeah.
she's like, she is edgy, but she's not an edgelord.
yeah,
Like-
no, that's the thing. I didn't want to make her too serious because I wouldn't like playing that, and I wanted her to have that like fun side, and I didn't want her to be this sort of, because I could very, very easily, with her backstory and her sort of arc within From the Ashes, I could very easily make her very tragic. And I didn't want that, because I didn't want to play that character. I wanted to make her fun and be like, yeah, this is my situation. I just deal with it, and I try and have fun where I can, and, you know, I try to enjoy life where I'm able to, and not like be very, oh, woe is me, I'm so sad, this is my life. Oh my god, everything's bad. That yeah, I just wanted to be like, have a bit of fun with her, but also have a bit of a serious side as well.
Yeah, I think Moa had the same issue with Blue, didn't you?
Yeah, I started off because Lily was my first character that I ever made. And then when we were doing I was making a new character with Justice League. I was like, oh, okay. I ended up going down, like, I was like, yeah, we're gonna go like fight a rogue. It's gonna be really tragic, and she's gonna have this happen to her. And then it was just like, this is depressing, and it doesn't need to be, and it doesn't need to be like the woe is me like character. And yes, I was sort of making it so that this is how she became a badass. But why is it that in order for our characters to become badasses, they have to have been traumatized by men?
Yeah, that seems to be a bit of a theme, doesn't it? Like,
yeah. And so instead, I like tweaked it, and I was like, no, she just killed him. It was fine. She didn't actually have, like, there was a reason. He was a cock, and like, okay, I still had that, but I was like, no, I don't want that. And I kind of only realized that halfway through a season. It took a minute to realize that, but I realized it and I tweaked.
That's an important thing with a character as well. Like, you know, a character grows. It's like when you're reading. I was going to say when you're writing a novel. I'm also a writer. I just slipped that little in there.
Very talented as a group.
So talented, classically trained. You know. Yeah, when you're reading a novel, the characters develop. So if you want to develop your character over your D&D campaign, it doesn't have to stay exactly the same. The first character I ever played was a character called Decima Artifice. Which I still think is a really cool name. But she was like proper edgelord rogue. And I did go for the whole emo backstory, dead wife, the whole thing. And like within 6 months, I was begging the DM to kill her. Like, please, can you kill her? Because I need to play somebody. It's a bit more fun. Because she's an absolute disaster. Yeah, and what I could have done is if I'd been a more experienced player, I think, is developed her a little bit more, rather than just get jealous that I wasn't playing a bard. Cool. Okay, so we've actually had some questions come in from some lovely people, and what's really interesting is all of the questions are from men, which I think is lush. I think it's really lush because it's nice for us to have the platform to be chatting about the stuff. And we love our boys. Our boys are great.
Boys.
They are great, but we do have to sometimes beat them. Not physically. I mean, like, mentally, kind of be like, no, shh, now. Quiet. Yeah, cool. So I'm going to start with a really fun one, because it really made me laugh. Which is from Lee D&D, which is at Lee D&D on Twitter, who's asking, you're late for a meeting and the only way to get there is either to get on a bus driven by an owl bear or ride a tandem bike with a bugbear. Which and why?
Yeah,
Love this question.
I saw
This
this
question.
question.
Tony, you
I love
go.
it because it's
Moa?
irrelevant to us being women.
Yeah, it's completely irrelevant to us being women, and I love that. Tony, you were going to
Yeah.
say.
So I've had a lot of time to think about this question because I did see it.
Cool.
Also, hi Callum, because he's one of my homebrew Havoc cast members.
Hi, Callum.
Yeah, so I had a lot of time to think about this, and this might be kind of a controversial answer, but that's what we're here for. But I would choose bus driven by an owlbear because one, I can't ride bikes. Isn't that weird? I can't ride a bike.
Weird.
And two,
I mean,
think
not weird. I'm not judging.
Oh no, judge, please do. You could judge that. That's fine. And also, I think owlbears are really cool. I don't really know a lot about bugbears. That's something I'm not as familiar with in D&D. Not that I've actually ever encountered either in a game or anything, but I just like the idea of an owlbear. Like, it just looks so cute, but I also think it would kill me, like a real bear.
Like a real bear. It looks. You want to stroke it and pet it, but it would claw your eyes out.
Yeah.
Claw your eyes out. Fuck your corpse. There's a tagline for the stream.
Yeah, I've not come across either, so I'm not really familiar. But in my head, I think it depends who's up front on the tandem bike. Is the bugbear up front, or is the bugbear behind? And
I
also,
think you make a choice.
And how terrifying is the bugbear? Because in that case, I quite like it to be in front of me, so I'm not aware of it behind me. And also, then it won't know if I'm not cycling or not because I'm not very fit.
Yeah, I mean, like they're pretty strength heavy, a bugbear. So there's going to be a lot of power in those legs.
Behind. I think owlbear, I don't know why. I think that I get the vibe that they're the bear, but I feel like more koala bear vibes. They're probably not.
But only
I'm just imagining like a really cute koala bear or a panda bear with like an owl face. That's what I've got in my mind.
Well, only in the way that like koalas, they look cute but will kill you.
Yeah.
I mean, owlbears are meant to be absolutely terrifying.
Really?
I love that there's like a cuteness factor going on here, and I've gone for stats. Stats over everything else. Because I would choose.
I'd choose on the experience. Like, which would be the most fun experience? Zooming around on a tandem bike.
I've gone for the owlbear driving a bus because they have advantage on perception checks.
Ooh.
Yeah, and you want a like keyed in bus driver. You also like, they're traditionally really grumpy and hard to tame. So like that describes most bus drivers I've known. And the grumpier the better, as far as I'm concerned. If you have to put up with school kids every day.
Also, buses are faster than bikes.
Buses are faster than bikes.
If we go for a real life kind of like hard facts, there's that as well.
You're travelling and which city you're in.
You're in Amsterdam or Utrecht. You want a bike.
If you're in Utrecht or Amsterdam or somewhere else that's very flat and mostly occupied by cyclists, you want to go bike?
Yeah.
I mean, central London, it's if you've got a bugbear which I'm assuming is very, very strong. So Connor is now sending me various screenshots of bugbears and owlbears. So thanks.
So
Connor. And owlbear and bugbear on a tandem bike. I'm there. Bugbear on a tandem bike, 100%. That is going to be a wild ride. So long as I've got a helmet and safety, like elbow pads and knee pads. I'm going for it. I think that would be a riot.
Lush.
So, bugbears are a playable race, whereas owlbears are not. They're encounters. So I feel like you could have. I feel you more like to have you could have a conversation with the bugbear, whilst you're right. So that could be quite a nice little you could make a friend. Whereas I feel like that's not going to happen with the owlbear.
Like a bugbear is false advertising. because it does sound like something like, snug as a bug in a rug, and it's
Yeah.
absolutely hideous.
No, it's terrifying.
It's terrifying.
Truly terrifying, but jacked, and I feel like that the thighs on that thing are going to be real good for a cycling team. Yeah, that's my stance, and I'm sticking to it.
We have from Paul, also from Homebrew Havoc, has sent me some like introspective questions. Ooh. So I'm going to start with, do you think there are any differences in styles between male DMs and female DMs? And I'm going to proceed this with, I've not been DM'd by a woman before. I've been DM'd by men, and they've all been very, very different. And I think the difference would be from my perspective rather than from what the DM does. So my ingrained issues, I would feel more comfortable with putting in boundaries, like doing the session 0. Like, I think I would feel more open about being able to say, like, okay, so this is not okay, right? And I feel like a female DM would like automatically know, like, oh yeah, of course I wouldn't do that. That's why would anyone do that? Whereas I've been DM'd by male DMs where I would assume that like something is completely off the table, and then it comes up, and you're like, dude, why are you doing that? So I think the main difference for me is that how I would feel about it.
Yeah.
But then again, I feel completely safe being DM'd by Connor and Paul, and I've been DM'd by Stephen as well, yeah, and Luke, and I've felt completely like I had nothing to worry about at all. How are you guys?
I'm same kind of experience. Because every time I've played D&D has been for this show. So I've only ever been DM'd by our team. I think that's a really like that would be my issue as well, like, or not issue, but there's things that you would just kind of take for granted with a female DM, and or even if we were having that session 0 of boundaries and things of like, oh yeah, like it's really niche and really specific to like my experience of, I don't like it if this kind of encounter happens. I feel like that would be more like, oh yeah, no, I've had that, like I get that, and you would have to potentially explain it more with a guy, like, because it's not necessarily a lived experience of theirs. But equally, I don't have any. I feel like I can do that with our boys, like, but I would like to be DM'd by a woman. Like, I think
I'd be there with like a little flag going, "Come on!"
Yeah, can we put a call out to anyone, any women or non-binary DMs who want to like DM us? Do you wanna?
Yes, some. We're up for some collaborations, so yeah, we'd love that.
Because I'm not there at the point where I feel like I'm not capable, but I'm equipped to do it, because I'm still so new to it all. I very much like just being a player who can just like dilly-dally in the world.
What about you, Toni?
Yeah, I think I think as a general rule, like I feel like a female DM would probably have a different perspective, I guess, into kind of, or insight kind of into DMing compared to a male DM. And I'm not saying that's necessarily like a bad thing on the males, on the men's part or anything, but just I think generally, just because of history and how sexism is a thing and has always been a thing, women have a different outlook and perspective on everything and on life generally. So I feel like for the DMing, it would probably be the same. And like I say, that's not necessarily a bad thing. on the men's part, but like let's be honest, ingrained subconscious misogyny is a thing, and that's just life, and that's just a fact. So I think that is something that it would be interesting to see kind of how things are played out differently with a female DM. But like you two said, I'm so up for being DM'd by a woman at some point, or non-binary person. And yeah, and I'd also really like to DM as well, but like you more, I don't think I haven't got the experience, and I don't know everything, or I feel like I don't know enough to put myself
Mine's for
out
selfish reasons. My not DMing are for completely selfish reasons. I'd love to DM. I think I could do a good job. But every time I have a good idea for a campaign, I remind myself that I'm also a writer, and if I want to keep getting things published and get paid for it, I have to put my ideas into that.
So I now have 2 points. So
yeah,
directly off of that, what you just said, I know I'm pointing down. I should be pointing up. You surely, like, if you had like ideas for things, a DM situation is a really good place to like experiment within that world. You could like give like say us, you could give us rough characters that we could then create and then put them in that world, and then kind of you could almost like figure out a plot through that. I feel like that's definitely a thing.
I mean, that is a lush idea for how to put a book together, and that has not occurred to me for that reason. I've just the self-plagiarism issue is the thing that stopped me from doing that, because I'd be like, oh, that's a brilliant thing. Oh yeah, but Moa wrote that bit. I can't put that in a book. And also, when we play D&D, we put it out to the world to listen to. So someone's going to read that book and be like, I've definitely heard that before.
You forget though, we don't need to like live stream every single game of D&D we play.
If we don't, then something amazing happens, and we all get really disappointed.
I mean, we can record it for posterity reasons, but also going in, we could be like, this campaign is specifically so that Joy-Amy can figure out the story of her book, and we can like side ideas away. I'm just saying, it's an option. I'd be up for it. And my other point that I was going to say in reference to Toni about the whole thing of like, I just don't feel equipped. I don't think like I could do it. And I was hearing you say basically the same thing that I said. And I was suddenly like, this is bullshit. There are so many men out there who have played like 3 games of D&D who are now like, yeah, I'm pretty good at it. I can totally like DM a whole session. Like, I don't like, I'll just figure it out as I go. And it's like, that energy. Can we do that?
Into the world with the confidence of a middle-aged white guy.
Yeah.
Middle-aged cis white guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still don't want to do it, but my selfish reasons are because I just really like dancing around in the world and wreaking havoc and doing whatever. I'm a control freak. I don't want to have to deal with like the chaos mongerers of the people I know, because I know that we cause we give Paul and Connor so much stress. I know me. I don't think I could handle that.
Yeah, I think also, sorry, I really like playing a character, and I really like getting into the character and just playing that one person. With DMing, even though you can like create a world, an entire story, you don't have like a person or a character to like really like latch onto. You play like multiple NPCs, which like I definitely want to try it at some point, 100%, but I just really like just having like a character that is yours and you are them, and like you get to like play as them and be them,
which is a very like, I think, actor quality, which makes me think like, surely as a director, like if you put like director hat on, DMing is like just like a large scale form of directing with
I mean,
people
Paul's a massive control freak, and he's he's a director producer, and so DMing, while it stresses him the hell out, because who does DM not stress the hell out? I mean, like every DM I've ever spoken to has been like, I love it, but I also, I want to take my hair out. We've had questions from the chat, from the Twitch chat.
Ooh.
Ooh. A question from, I think it's Io Shiv in the chat, or Low Shiv. Io Shiv.
Io Shiv.
Io. What was the most epic decision you've made during the game? Oh, that is that's quite a tricky thing, isn't it? Because sometimes you have to make those decisions that are like, I really don't want to do this, but I have to do this, and it's something big and epic. The only thing I can think of right now is Frayne kissing Torrin.
Yeah.
When for those who don't know the episode, Torrin and Frayne were Lord Torrendar is a Dragon Ball paladin, and they've had a will they won't they kind of thing going on for a while, and they were basically in a version of his own psyche, with this kind of monstrous version of himself beating himself down, and then kind of suddenly realizing at the same time that Frayne did that the only way to beat the monster is to boost his self-esteem and just give up all the pretenses and just grab him and kiss him, which was also the most epic nat 20 of my gaming career.
So good.
Nat 20 on snogging,
nat 20 for snogging.
The power of love and friendship.
The power of love and friendship. So that felt pretty epic.
That was really epic.
Yeah.
Your epic thing is really lovely. My epic thing is really freaking sad.
Hey.
Mine is when I essentially was hitting Grongol. Like
in Justice League.
Back in Justice League, where if you haven't listened, I feel like there are spoilers for things that we've like.
Put it on mute for 30 seconds if you haven't listened to Justice League, because it's a bit of a spoiler.
But yeah, when Blue was just trying to disarm Grongol, because Grongol was a goblin and had been taken over by the big bad, and was
player character.
Player character had been taken over and played by Connor before he was DMing, and was just annihilating us. And Blue, who was he viewed as a goddess, like he viewed her as his deity. She was trying to kind of just like knock him down, so thunder waved at her. She rarely uses spells, but it was like the sort of this thing. And because she did damage to him, he would have had to done damage to her. So instead he killed himself. And just the way Connor described it, man, and like the whole thing, it was so cinematic. And I was in pieces afterwards. I was like heartbroken. I was like full on crying. It was like, why am I so upset about this disgusting little goblin? So I feel like that was epic from what Blue did, but I guess because the way kind of Connor described it was like doubly epic. I really enjoyed just like I fired with Blue again. I fired an arrow up at the ceiling to get a piece of paper instead of dealing with a whole freaking hazard situation that Paul had got together.
Yeah,
and that was like it was like a small moment of epicness, because it was just like, again, teamwork with Grongol. We just did a thing where it was casually epic. I quite like the casual epic moments as well within roleplay, more so than even in combat.
What about Toni?
Oh god, I don't know, because see, I don't really. I feel like I've not played enough D&D to have had an epic moment. Like I've not really had sort of anything in any of the podcasts or anything, or like any of our streams.
I can think of something for you.
Oh really? Okay. This is
just
when you're gonna say something, and I am just gonna be like, oh yeah.
In fairness, it was just the character in general. So for Toni's birthday, we played a Humblewood campaign in a wonderful geek cafe, board game cafe.
Nerdy. Nerdy
Nerdy.
in Shrewsbury. You should go and look at them on all their socials. They're doing a crowdfunder at the moment, and for flood defense because they get flooded a lot. Sorry, this is a little bit of a promo, but yeah,
go for it.
go check them out because they're also selling merch when you back their Kickstarter or back this crowdfunding, and also they're incredible people. So,
so
please
great.
go and support them.
But yeah, your character for that, Toni.
Okay.
Everything she did was epic.
I forgot about the Humblewood session rehearsal where this. I played this. If you know Humblewood, I played a Luma, who, if you don't know Humblewood, is like a pigeon/dove kind of bird folk race. And I played like this grey pigeon southern belle called Oaklyn, who was a cleric, and she was so much fun to play. But I basically just spoke with this really southern drawl, and I had a really long name, and I can't remember what it was. And like, I had to have it written down next to me because I couldn't remember because it was really long. But yeah, that was such a fun character to play. Like, just as like a little one shot. I don't think I could keep up the accent for like a whole campaign, but she was a lot of fun.
Yeah, we all know about choosing accents and then realising we've got to keep them up for a
I haven't got a clue what you're on about, Moa.
No idea whatsoever.
The problem with accents is it's normally fine until you find out that somebody else at the table has got something that like really battles against it. So since Harkness came into the campaign,
oh yeah,
I'm finding it is so difficult. So Locticus Frayne has like a general Yorkshire area kind of mixture of Lancashire and Yorkshire kind of thing, because she's her voice was based on a model called Melanie Sykes, who looked absolutely stunning, and then when she opened her mouth it sounded like this. It was fantastic. But Harkness has a kind of estuary, yeah, all right, innit? Yeah. Kind of estuary, sassy accent. And the thing is, I come from Kent, and that is where that's what a lot of people from Kent sound like. I spent a year at drama school getting my accent beaten out of me, almost quite literally. And when I've seen my father, it comes out. And during D&D sessions with Harkness, it started coming out as well. That's really tricky.
I had that with when I was playing Oriana, and my first interaction with the group was with Stephen as Janaeus, who has an Australian accent, and I didn't realise how difficult that was to try and like separate. So I kept going into like this Aussie. At one point I went into K, which is like a South African accent, not a good South African accent, but a South African accent, and it was just like it's really like, so it's right at the beginning of like my kind of cameo guest appearance on that episode. I was like all over the place, but then like later on luckily I managed to get into it a bit more.
It has been pointed out to me that my baby brain has been replacing people, it's Lahan, not Harkness.
Oh yeah, I was like, Harkness.
I apologise entirely.
I've also noticed the chat has mentioned a moment with Kay, which is probably epic, and it's this. I didn't forget about this moment. In my head, I was like, this isn't a moment. This wasn't really Kay's moment. So in an episode where I guest starred in Justice League as Kay, there was a moment between Kay and Rothgon, who Stephen played, and there was a moment between them where they hugged. But the reason I didn't mention that, it's not because I forgot it, because I absolutely love that moment so much. It's one of my favorite moments in D&D ever, I'll be honest. But I didn't really feel like it was Kay's moment. That felt like it was Rothgon's moment. So that's why I didn't really mention that, but I hadn't forgotten it. Don't worry, Stephen, I've not forgotten that, because it is, as I say, it's one of my faves. But yeah, it's that's why I didn't kind of mention that one.
Yeah, it's funny.
I have a question. Mm-hmm. Oh, sorry. I have a question. We have, questions from other people as well, but I'm in charge right now. So how do I put it? Do you ever feel like, as the women at the table, like you have a sort of responsibility to represent women in D&D when you're playing, for the public? because I know that I do. And sometimes when Frayne does stuff that's a bit girly, sometimes I feel a bit like, oh, am I letting the side down? And then I have to like slap myself around the face and be like, no, because that's perfectly fine to be good. And that's what the character is like. And also, you are not feminism's babysitter. But yeah, I don't know. Do you guys ever feel like that?
Bit, yeah. I feel it very much in both like in the characters, but also just in how I present myself. So I was like putting pink lippy on just now, and I was like, "Oh God, we're very femme. Like, should I go and put like my angry liberal feminist T-shirt on and like be like, It's like, no, you like I no, don't need to define it. Just no, don't have to. We are all very multifaceted. We all us three love playing with makeup and aesthetics and all of that girly shit, which I actually rebuffed hugely. I was really but I was so anti like being girly and liking makeup and stuff for so long, and was quite judgmental of it. In secondary school especially, I was really judgmental over girls in my year or at school who wore makeup to school, and in that way of like, oh no, I don't see the point in makeup. Like, I'm happy in myself, and like that really just like awful, like unknowing, like sort of stuff that I had just digested and taken on board. Like, oh yeah, sometimes I put mascara on, but like I just don't bother, you know. And then it wasn't until I kind of came out of uni and stuff and started like playing with it. I was like, oh, this is really fun, and I really like it. And so I'm gonna do that. So I'm aware of it as I like represent myself as a woman on the internet, and then in my characters, I guess I'm more so with Blue than with Lily, because I have chosen powerful lady, and I'm like, she must be powerful lady, and I don't like and I was like, oh no, she cannot be weak, she cannot show emotion, and then it's like, this is literally like I'm sort of going through the emotions of like essentially being a man. Like, no, I cannot show emotion, I cannot be like, and so yeah, I guess a little bit, but yeah, weirdly it's more, maybe that's because I'm just like hugely narcissistic and aesthetically based. I'm just like, no, it's all about like how I'm portrayed.
And like, Toni, you're a makeup artist, so
Yeah.
Yeah, not professional by any stretch. I haven't had any like training with it. It's just I've been doing. I say that I've been doing it for like, at least sort of like, how old am I? I can't remember. Probably at least like
young.
12 or like 12 years or so, like just doing makeup. So it's always been really fascinating to me and really something I really enjoy. So I don't, when I do makeup, I just think, oh, this is something that I do. Like, it's not for me personally. It doesn't kind of make me go, oh, this is like, obviously I know that there is very like feminine, sort of a feminine culture, I guess, behind it, and it's being a very like sort of like you have a very like feminine culture behind it and stuff. But I don't know, I just see it and like it's just sort of me really, because it's such a massive part of who I am. But I can totally see like
more dudes in makeup, please.
Yes,
just to say,
please.
because like, guys, we love it.
Yes,
not that you do it for us, but like,
I just like seeing
honestly,
I just like seeing color and like seeing loads of like people wearing. I mean, not there's anything wrong with nude makeup, because you like, I love a bit of like nude makeup. Like, don't get me wrong, but I just like seeing. Yeah, it's just such a nice way to like express yourself.
That's exactly it.
And how have you like?
We got off the point ever so slightly.
Yeah.
In that, like, what I wanted to know from you, Toni, whether you feel responsible for feminism at the D&D table. It's cool if you don't.
I don't. I'll be honest. I've not felt that personally. I feel like maybe I would do if I kind of was like because I do like a guest spot rather than like a player. So I feel like I'm not really the obviously you guys aren't the token women, but I know that sometimes that is the case in certain like in some groups there is that and potentials, but like obviously you guys aren't, this group of people have been friends before Roll the Damn Dice and all of that. So but
it does still feel that way sometimes.
Yeah.
And that's probably my own ingrained biases, and I think there's probably quite a lot of because there's almost 20 years in age difference between me and you, Toni. So I feel I always forget that as well. It's really it's nice.
No, it's really nice.
When I was a kid, if you wanted to do the boy stuff like D&D, like board games, like fantasy roleplay stuff, you had to be one of the boys to do it. And I would not have been seen dead wearing pink as a teenager. Absolutely no way. And I think creating Frayne is kind of my way of claiming that back, because I was obsessed with like She-Ra, and Frayne is kind of a 1980s battle princess, a bit Xena, a bit She-Ra, but kind of designed the way you'd expect women in D&D to have been designed by a 14-year-old boy in the 1980s, but with the agency of a complete and absolute badass that wouldn't take any shit from somebody like that. And I wanted to cover her in pink to be like, hey, she will beat the shit out of you and she likes pink, so everything's cool. And it kind of, she kind of grew from there.
Yeah, I sort of just during this chat, I've kind of like thought about like my two kind of main characters that I played with played on Roll the Damn Dice, and they're both kind of masculine. Like Kay's non-binary, so like that's kind of how I do it. But I've always pictured them as being slightly more masculine than feminine. And then with Oriana, I thought I would say she is slightly more kind of laddie, for want of a better phrase. I don't know, like, do you know what I mean? Like, kind of there is that kind of like lads energy, but she is definitely, which is I also think there is like a very feminine side to her as well.
Yeah.
But neither of the two characters are particularly like super feminine at all. But yeah, I don't know if that's just I don't think that's any kind of like thing. I think that's just like they're just two characters that I just enjoyed and they kind of came up with, and then have played kind of in that way. But yeah, that's just sort of something that I'd noticed. But then Oakland that I played in that Humblewood thing she's a woman. She is a woman.
I think now that because if I haven't mentioned, I'm 5 months pregnant currently, and the reason I've been eating fizzy sweets throughout the entire time is because my pregnancy nausea is only kept down by sour things, and you don't want me throwing up on stream.
Thank you.
But so it's my first experience of being pregnant, and it's made me really want to play a pregnant character in D&D, because I think like a pregnant barbarian who wasn't a barbarian until she got pregnant because of the pregnancy hormones be fucking just chef's kiss.
That would be so good.
It's so fucking great.
Roll for labour.
So good.
So that's definitely something I need to put in my back pocket, because I mean my only concern would be that there's a lot of sensitivity around pregnant women and people's experiences and stuff like that, and I don't want to sometimes think things from real life crossing over into fantasy life can't always be handled sensitively.
Yeah, it's difficult because at the end of the day we're playing a game and we want to have fun, and obviously we do, like, serious stuff happens, and we want to handle everything sort of sensitively, and we specifically have our boundaries, and we have certain lines that we don't want to cross, but everyone has different boundaries and different lines, and those, and it might be within the same sort of realm of each other, but your line might be here and my line might be here, and we very much cater to each other, and we want to cater to as many people as possible.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, like Frayne at the moment is missing an arm. She's also currently, if you haven't been listening to the podcast, dead. But Frayne's lost the arm is kind of in reference to my dad, who has a prosthetic leg. Whose attitude when they said you're not going to be able to use your leg anymore, he said, well, we'll just take it off then. And they were like, well, are you sure? Like, well, it's going to be easier for me to use a prosthetic than to just have a leg that doesn't work. Yeah, get rid of it. So I've kind of taken my dad's attitude and kind of put it in Frayne, but I do worry that I might, the attitude might upset people.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess there wasn't really a question around it. I guess I was kind of just
wanting to put it out there.
Pontificating about possible pregnancy. There is a question though, which we've had, I think, from the chat. I don't know. I can't see the chat. I'm just getting messages from various people. Would you like to play? I know Toni said that she has a non-binary character, but would you like to play other gendered characters in a game? How would you feel about it?
So I played a male character. I played Lox.
Of course.
First season of Justice League. And Justice League was a one-shot that went right, sort of. Like, it was a one-shot that went right. Like, and so I thought, to begin with, oh yeah, this will be jokes. I'll just do it for the one-shot. And then realise, oh shit, we've got to play him for longer. And it was really weird because he was very much he was going through stuff, and he was a bit of a dick, and like quite sort of flirty and a bit misogynistic, but it was all a front sort of thing. And I remember getting into like a situation of like, I said something and I was like, oh my god, I can't believe I said that. Like, but at the same time, it was really nice playing just this like mansplainy, wide-legged, like no shits given, dude who was like very privileged, like really wealthy, and like, and just like really revel in that. It was quite fun to do. And I think the only reason why it was like difficult to keep up was because I hadn't really figured out the character that much, because it was a one shot, because actually, maybe I would have given him a different class, but at the time the only thing I could play was a gnome druid, so that's what he had to be. And again, it was just a one shot, so it didn't matter. So I think I struggled with him because I hadn't really put him together in the best way possible. And if I'd done that, I would have been able to like settle into it a bit more and just really reveled in it. But I'm an overthinker, so couldn't do that.
So Toni, did you decide that your so what kind of came first? Was it part of Kay's character? Did the non-binariness come from Kay's character, or did you make like a conscious decision that you thought the representation was important, or was it just kind of that came out of them?
So with Kay, the idea I came was what I liked about Kay. What the idea behind Kay was, I liked the idea, and I thought it was quite amusing to make a dragonborn barbarian who really didn't like violence that much. I thought that idea was just kind of amusing, and I thought this would be really good for just like a bit of a fun one shot. And like the kind of the character, the personality was based a little bit on Korg from Thor Ragnarok. Like that was the kind of the vibe I got. And I was kind of thinking about it, and I was just like, because like normally, because I am female, like a lot of my characters are just female because it's just like that's the thing I just tend to but I thought there was no real there wasn't I couldn't see Kay really as a definite woman or a definite bloke, so I was like, well, why do I have to pick? Let's just keep them
it was born out of the character.
Yeah, pretty much born out of the character. And I thought, well, also, this just feels right to not have them be really like they're not a woman or they're not a man. They're just K. They're not, it didn't feel. And like, I know I did mention that I think they're a little bit more masculine, but like not really much. That's kind of how I picture them in my head.
That makes no difference in terms of non-binary. You can present as very masc or or present as very femme, but it's not what decides that.
No, exactly.
And I my first character, so the one that I killed off, I wish that I had made more of an effort in making her kind of genderqueer. Because she, like, the whole backstory of the character was that she was married off to this princess without anyone but the princess knowing that she wasn't a guy, because she's very, very androgynous. And I wish I'd kind of played with that a bit more, but as it was my first character, I was more worried about kind of stats and things. But in terms of playing a guy, I know it's my own inbuilt issue again. But because you don't get that many female characters in the game, I feel like I have a responsibility to put them in it.
And your version of what you want to put out there as well, not the version that the DM, who in our experience has always been male,
is a guy,
is gonna put towards us. And Paul and Connor are very careful to not put overtly sexualized women in front of us. And
but their baseline is still guy, so you will get women and stuff, but like their baseline is guy, so mostly you'll get male NPCs because they're going to be more comfortable with playing them. They don't want to do stuff that might be offensive. So it just automatically happens. So I tend to kind of feel that weight of responsibility to stick more women in the game, and non-binary characters as well. And I think when you've got something like the Feywilds, where like real world stuff doesn't actually hold, we can break down all those kind of barriers. I think D&D is a great place to break down like gender barriers and sexuality barriers, because it's like there is no baseline for it. There shouldn't be a baseline for it. I could go on about that for hours, but we're not going to do that.
It's so interesting that it's like, oh, we'll happily play an elf or a dragonborn. That's like not questioned. Like all of this stuff, but like gender and sexuality within that is still, because it's so much part of the world that we live in, is still very much sort of not reflected, but projected onto it. And I think within our team, actually, though, we like sexuality definitely is very fluid within our teams.
I mean, real life team. I mean,
real life team. And like characters, which I think is really, it's really nice to just have to exist in that space. I much prefer it.
What I find really weird is that I'm telling people a lot about myself here, is that I can play an asexual character absolutely fine, but I could not play a straight character. Like I would feel like I'd feel like I have no frame of reference for somebody who's not attracted to just anyone who's beautiful, regardless of what gender they are. Because I'm for anyone who doesn't know, because I'm very outspoken about it, I'm bi, and like the idea that somebody might just be attracted to one gender just blows my mind. So I don't think I could write a D&D character that was only attracted to one gender. It would be really odd.
So in a recent episode, I don't know if it's gone out yet, Lahan has appeared and has insinuated that Lily and Janaeus are in a relationship. And when that was said, I had a visceral response to it. I was like, no. And not because it's Janaeus, just Lily in a relationship that implied anything sexual at all. It's just like,
no.
And I've not really contemplated Lily's sexuality at all. I'm just like, because in my head she's a child, and it's like and it's not really something that I've engaged with, because it's not important to her, and it's in the way that you do in real life. You figure that stuff out as you go. I'm still very much figuring that stuff out as I go. So I'm kind of living that with her as well, because I'm just like, no, it's not she's anything. It's just she's just is. But yeah, that was I was like, oh, okay. It was like that sort of said something to me. I was like, oh yeah, you really don't like that. That's interesting. That's something to maybe contemplate.
Yeah,
that was a lot of silence.
I was leaving a gap to see if Toni wanted to add anything about.
Yeah, I think with my two characters, I think Kay, I would probably say that Kay's probably asexual. I don't ever envision Kay. It's not come up, but I really can't envision them really being that, but not bothered. Like, really just not that bothered by it. Like, it's just like, they're happy to have they'll have like friends and they'll like go out and stuff, but they don't want to, they like their space. As well, hopefully, I said proven, it wasn't really by choice, but luckily for them, they like their space. If you listened to the episode of Justice League I was in, where they were basically in a cove alone for 1,000 years, but they seem to like it. They got on quite well. They like carpentry, so they just build a load of stuff.
Cottage.
They hadn't gone like insane, so like they were just happy. They were just chill.
They hugged Rothgon. That's fairly insane.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. And then there's Oriana, who I would say is very opposite. I think I kind of envision, I see Oriana as being maybe not a settling down type, but definitely likes to have fun with the variety of different people. Gender, absolutely, regardless. That's right. Yeah. She's just, if there's someone she likes the look of, she'll probably try and sleep with them. But it's like I don't think she doesn't really. I don't see her as being very particularly rigid in who she wants to be with or anything like that.
We had a follow-up question from Ollie.
Lovely.
I assume from Ollie because I can't see the chat, but he's sending me things. Do you want to see more men playing female characters?
Ooh. It depends on
the guy.
Yeah. Depends on the guy, depends on the lived experience, depends on the character that they play, it depends on a lot of stuff. NPCs, absolutely. Like, I would like more female NPCs from male DMs and players. I think that's a really difficult question.
It is.
I'm with you. I think with DMs, you need to. I think you need to make a conscious effort to put more women in your world, because you're not playing a character, you're playing a world. You're creating a world, you're creating a story, and you're creating a rich world and story as well. And if you only play male characters or mostly play male characters, then you're not creating a realistic world or a particularly inclusive world for your players, especially if you do have women at your table, which you should, by the way. And I think that that's really important. And I really appreciate that Connor has recently played an NPC who's playing a big part in our From the Ashes campaign at the moment. Chandral. Chandral the captain, who is a female elf. And she's a brilliant character. I absolutely love her character. And also, he's kind of not made a big deal of the fact. Well, he's not made a big deal about her gender, but he's also mentioned the fact that she's black as well, which I think is really important as well. I know this isn't a gender thing. This is a level
it's
of
completely
inclusion.
related. Yeah.
But we, as a table, unfortunately, we are a very white table of players
with a slight hint of Mediterranean.
Oh yes, of course.
Hi, Stephen.
Hi, Stephen.
As a general rule, like we don't really have any people of color, and I think that's very much down to the fact that we live in a very we're Cheltenham Gloucester-based, and that's unfortunately the fact that is kind of the majority of people here are sort of white. But I think even though we haven't got any players of colour, it's good that we're getting some level of NPCs representation, but also not making that like trying to talk about not making that their personality, or like trying to play
a different culture.
That experience that a black character would have, because we have absolutely no fucking clue what that is. We listen to people of color and we can take that on board, but we will never truly know what it is like. So I think that's really important. But with players, I don't know. I've only experienced one person play a female character, and that was also Connor again, and that was in the Championship of Champions, like back in August, where he played
the special edition
Aliana, and like I thought that was I enjoyed that. I thought it was quite nice to see a bit of because he also, again, it was very like the character just happened to be female. And that was kind of it. It wasn't like he didn't play the character any differently because she was female. It was just it was just another character.
When we first started playing the From the Ashes characters, there was a character called Storm who was a changeling, and Storm's still a character who is mentioned and will be talked about in this series. But Paul was playing them, and as a changeling, sometimes Storm was male and sometimes Storm was female. And I wasn't weirded out by that.
No.
And like, I think there's a lot about the intention there. You know, if you're playing a female character just so that you can, see boobs and stuff. Although, I do that with Frayne, so
But that's
like that's. I feel like I can. I have boobs. I can do that.
You have boobs.
They're currently blancmange because I'm 5 months pregnant, but I do have them. I think I would like to see guys playing female characters. I think it's really interesting, and it's a different perspective, and also it puts them in a different perspective, and it also is a way of getting more female characters into a game when if you have a male heavy table. But equally, if like your entire group and your DM are women, it would be kind of cool to have a couple of guys in the group, maybe. And
I think, when playing a male character, I came at it. There was a lot of stuff that Locke said and did that if a guy was at the table doing that stuff, unironically saying it would be like, mate, but because it was coming from a woman saying it was like, it was funny because it was, have those layers. And and equally, when Torrin is saying shit that you're like, mate,
Oh man, sorry.
we know where it's coming from because we know Paul and we know that it is layered. It's layered, and it all comes from knowing who is behind the character and knowing what the intention is. If it's just stereotypes and outdated and just
nasty,
kind,
Yeah.
exactly. Then
play with kindness. Always play with kindness.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to start wrapping things up with you folks.
No.
Now, I know, right?
God, it's gone so quickly.
I know.
Yeah.
I was going to make a bad joke there and say it's because we can never get a word in edgeways because the guys are always talking over the top of us. But that's, but it's not actually true with our group. Oh dear.
That is one thing I will say is I think we're very lucky with who we have on Roll the Damn Dice. I think everybody is everyone's such a great kind of all of the guys on the team are they want to listen to us and they don't treat us any differently because of our gender or anything like that, and they will listen to us. And I think any one of them, if we had said maybe don't do that next time, I feel like I could just happily say that to any of the guys.
Oh, I have done.
Yeah, exactly.
I have done. Definitely have done.
I know that they would listen, and I know that they'd take that on board, and I know that they would apply that to the next session, which I really appreciate. So, thanks, guys, for being.
We love you guys.
You know what? I say thanks, guys, for being
the bare
decent human beings.
The bare minimum, to be honest. But you're great anyway.
Yeah. This is the thing. We need to the fact that we're here celebrating the fact that our mates listen to us is fucking ridiculous. It should be and it shouldn't be handled with I'm really sorry, but you kind of did a thing that was made me a little bit icky and sad inside. It should be mate, don't say that. That was stupid.
I'm talking. Shut up.
Yeah. So, I think it is wonderful that we have a team where we can be honest with each other and upfront and sort of and do that stuff. And I would hope that if I said something that was stupid and unkind or made someone uncomfortable, that they would be dude, that wasn't okay. That's, I think that should just be the bare minimum for any kind of relationship or team or campaign or just any existence in this world, quite frankly.
Life. Lesson for life.
But
so
it is something I'm grateful for in this group.
You folks have been absolutely gorgeous. And does anyone have anything they would like to plug before we sign off? Any plugging to do?
I'm just seeing in the chat now. We should probably plug our Ko-fi because I think that's something I think we should plug that. We have a Ko-fi page, coffee, however you pronounce it. I pronounce it Ko-fi because it just seems right.
Yeah,
but yes,
there's only one F.
Yeah, there's only one F exactly, and with an I as well. So I don't know. It just feels right. It's but yeah, it's our. Oh, someone's put a link in it in the chat, which is good because I was going to try and remember that off the top of my head, and I don't think I could. So thank you, Ollie. I think that is. Thank you very much. That's our Ko-fi page. If you want to support us, if you're able to support us financially, that is the place to do it. If you aren't, but still want to support us, you can find us on our link tree, and that's all of our socials. You can go onto our podcasts and review us, go to our YouTube, like our videos, comment, all that good stuff.
Chatting to you, so comment on our stuff because we love chatting. And I'll be nice, probably, as long as I'm not totally hormonal. Cool. And obviously, Toni, if you want to find some of her lovely designs from her Etsy shop.
Oh,
Healing potion.
Nice.
She's Surefire Designs.
I also have a link tree as well, which is
Ooh.
it's the same as the Roll the Damn Dice link tree, but it says Surefire Designs at the end, rather as opposed to Roll the Damn Dice at the end. So you can find all my good stuff there.
Cool.
If you want me to sing at a thing that you're doing, or act in a thing that you're doing, or just generally exist and get paid for it, I got a website, moamyerson.co.uk. Find me, contact me,
Lush.
validate me.
And I will write stuff for you, content, stories, that kind of shizzle. I'm also a graphic novel writer, and not whole novels, just like little bits so far, but I can do that for you. And I'm a voiceover artist. So if you want to employ me, you can find me at Jigwam. That's JIGWAM on Twitter. And of course, follow us on all the socials. It's been really nice having just like a little chat. It's good that COVID didn't stop play completely. Tony's got her hand up.
Sorry, I've also got another thing. It's just because a lot of the guys have been sending us questions and been watching the stream. Homebrew Havoc.
Yeah,
if you
Homebrew
want
Havoc.
to see me also play more, then go find Homebrew Havoc stuff. I think it's ampersand D20 is where we will be streaming on Twitch. Thursdays 7 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, 7:30 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. Apologies. So yeah, that's a thing as well.
Cool. And join us for the continuation of From the Ashes. We stream live on Twitch on Sundays at 7 p.m. And the podcast is released on Fridays. So I had to think about that because we had a little bit of a change. But yes, on Fridays, you can get the podcast and you'll find it on YouTube as well. So thank you very much, everybody. And whatever weirdness you want to do in the world, go out there and roll the damn dice.